I cannot believe this is happening right now, guys. HoYoverse has the worst timing possible. I just finished a 5-hour stream starting the version 5.5 content today. We did Varessa's story quest. It was really fun. We finally got lore on this magnificent bastard after 3 years, who's been in the chasm since 2.6. We learned a lot of lore about the Archon War, and overall, it was just great starting the 5.5 content. I just finished streaming. You guys can check out the content on my MurderofBirds VOD channel, or you can check me out at twitch.tv/MurderofBirds. I am going to be doing the Saurian World Quest for 5.5 this weekend. I just finished streaming. I was about to like unwind for the night and relax, and I get pinged in my Discord, moon update, and then I see it, I confirm it, I'm like, holy shit, and I literally do 3 things. I go to my Twitch followers and I see anyone that's on Genshin. I saw Windflower Leah. I was like, moon lore updated, okay, thanks, bye, and she's like freaking out. And then I also DM'd 2 people who I was excited to let them know that this lore is out. Dish, who I DM'd and let her know, and then Deweet, who's actually kind of going through it right now because he's uploading crazy amount of lore videos right now for Genshin. For those of you who don't know, Deweet is my favorite Genshin content creator for lore. Him and Roosevelt are my 2 favorite lore focused content creators for Genshin. Check them out if you haven't already. I just want to give them a plug, so I'm sure this video will be watched by more than the average amount of viewers that I have on my channel, so big ups to them. And I know Dish is super hyped and excited for the moon lore, and everyone was expecting them to talk about it during the special program, but boom, here you have it on a random Sunday, which also tomorrow we get 5.6 drip marketing for the new characters. It's probably going to be the Chef Hat Girl and Aoife, if I had to guess. There'll be a video on that tomorrow, so there's going to be kind of like a double upload tonight and tomorrow morning. But HoYoverse has dropped the continuation of the moon event that kind of is ushering in a lot of hype and lore and excitement revolving the Eternal Moon, the Iridescent Moon, the Frost Moon, the 3 Moon Sisters, the Moons of the Dragons, and basically setting up a lot of lore and excitement for Nod-Krai. And so we're going to be checking out and seeing. I'm hoping that they're going to basically update everything. I don't know if there's going to be another update after this one because the event is supposed to last for 2 months. So with all of that said, I am very excited to jump into this. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Leave your thoughts down below and let us check this out. So we have the night deepens as stars gather around the moon, and we have an actual updated picture of the moon now. So before it was like, this kind of looks like a different art style. You have like the broken shards of the moon here, and then you still have like the 3 layered moons, or I think those are 2 layered moons now in the background. So the art style looks a little bit different than the initial one was. I also tweeted about this. A lot of people are going crazy right now, so very excited. Let us see what we have here. So I think everything else here is the same for the stars at the very least. So this was, yes, oh my god. Dude, they gave us everything. Oh, that's the Fatui. This is the Fatui. I don't know what all these, I'm gonna get into all of this. I hope they give us info on all of these. What the, okay, that looks like a heart, a compass. That might be, is that the Adventurers Guild? That's like the compass on like your mini map, or like the compass of the Adventurers Guild. So that might be Adventurers Guild. Fatui. That's the adventure. Sorry, no, that's the, I think that's Knights of Favonius. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. Okay, so these seem to be, okay, so, okay, hold on. There's a lot of shit going on here. The Wheel of Fate points in 11 directions. Oh, yeah, so when I originally saw this, I was like, oh, there's 11 of them. And I was like, oh, there's 11 Fatui Harbingers, but so these must be like different factions or groups across the game. I don't know if all of this is going to be for Nod-Krai. That'd be insane. Okay, let's start with the ones we do know, and then let's get into the ones we don't know. I'll start from the outer ring going in. So we'll start, I think this is the Knights of Favonius. Wow, that is so fucking cool. Yeah, it is. Yo, Grandmaster Varka, he's on his expedition. I think he's like in Snezhnaya or in the Nod-Krai area to the north. So we actually might get Varka in like the relative future at this point. A small group of elite knights from the Mondstadt Expeditionary Force that followed their Grandmaster across Snezhnaya, arriving in Nod-Krai. It is said that they have come on a crucial mission. So this was like based on the Vinelasa Fest where we first got introduced to Mika. He had the letter about like, oh, you know, Grandmaster Varka met up with the captain. Capitano helped them out during a point in time in the past. oh captain, my captain, he only does everything for humanity, God rest his soul. And yeah, so like that was like the first instance of us learning about Grandmaster Varka's expedition. He's been on the expedition since the manga, and Jean's mom and dad, well, Jean and Barbara's mom and dad, Frederica Gunhilder and Seamus Pegg, are both on the expedition with Grandmaster Varka. So we could potentially get Grandmaster Varka playable or Grandmaster Varka reveal when we go to Nod-Krai. This is huge because the, you know, Mondstadt, like that faction, right, like his entire expedition has been like in Snezhnaya or traveling to Snezhnaya ever since the game released. So obviously they're setting something up big for Nod-Krai that's going to be kind of, I think, this prelude or prequel story going into Snezhnaya. At least I think so, leading into like all of this stuff with the Frostmoon Scions, and then the Snezhnaya Archon quest with the Tsaritsa and everything. Grandmaster Varka is probably my most anticipated character outside of Oh Captain, My Captain, Il Capitano, especially because Razor is my favorite character, and you know, Grandmaster Varka and Lisa had a hand in raising Razor. I kind of consider headcanon, I kind of consider Grandmaster Varka to be Razor's like godfather, especially again for the Wine Lisa Fest event that happened a couple years ago. But yes, so we have the Knights of Favonius. So this is the first one here. Very exciting about that. So that's the first one on the outer ring. So I think this one is this the Adventurers Guild? Hold on, pause champ. Yes, okay, so obviously the Adventurers Guild, they are, okay, hold on, let me read this real quick. Ad Astra Abyssos, Catherine, I swear to God, you've been helping us out this entire game. Please don't turn your back on us for the Tsaritsa when we get to Nod-Krai. Ad Astra Abyssos, the guild's strong presence in an adventurer's paradise like Nod-Krai is only natural. A certain important figure from the guild's headquarters is prepared to welcome you as a sign of respect. An important figure, a certain important figure. So for those who don't know, the Adventurers Guild is stationed, their headquarters is in Snezhnaya. The Adventurers Guild, I think, was founded by the Tsaritsa as like an information network that expands throughout the 7 nations. So essentially, Catherine and the Adventurers Guild, they're basically an information network that feeds back to Snezhnaya, that feeds back to the Tsaritsa. And so when you think about it, I feel like the Tsaritsa and the Fatui should know about everything that is happening across adventurers, especially the Traveler, over the course of all of our journeys across Teyvat, because they founded this this guild to begin with, and it stretches across the 7 nations. So yeah, so, and obviously we know Catherine is like a robot puppet, kind of like the same technology as like Raiden Shogun or Scaramouche. She always says error, rebooting, implying that she's like a robot of some sort. We also know that Sandrone tinkers with like robots. She's got like her ruin butler, and so I always figured that like Catherine was always like a plant of the Adventurers Guild. Like obviously she's the receptionist, but you know, being the receptionist, she's like the key to knowing the depths of like our, like her, for example, the Traveler's always talking to Catherine, engaging and interacting with her. So I feel like Catherine is going to be like a pretty big key factor in relaying information to the Tsaritsa about the Traveler, especially in the Snezhnaya region and the Snezhnaya headquarters. So wow, I cannot believe this. So the Adventurers Guild, which is just this seeming guild that we just do our commissions, we get XP, we get Primo Gems, is going to have a more direct presence, especially because we're going to the headquarters version when we go to Snezhnaya. I don't know who this important figure is. This might be like a Nod-Krai or a Snezhnaya character, kind of like how we're greeted in a new nation by a new character, almost kind of like Toma and Inazuma, or something like that. So we'll have to wait and see. This could be like, or maybe fucking Child again, Mr. Worldwide, for all we know. But yeah, so we have the Adventurers Guild, we have the Knights of Favonius. This is super exciting. I don't think I noticed any of these other ones. The only other one I know here is obviously the head honchos themselves, the Fatui. The Pale Star Edict, what the hell? The Pale Star Edict, that highest of commands, has gone out. Oh, okay, so the Fatui has put out a command, an edict. The Pale Star Edict, that highest of commands, has gone out. With it, the Fatui Harbor, oh, so they've been summoned back. with it, the Fatui Harbingers have been summoned back to Snezhnaya and dispatched to Nod-Krai. The people stare and wonder, for what purpose does this army bearing the banner of the Pale Star come to their city? Or perhaps the question should be, for whom? So the Tsaritsa has called back, or maybe Piero has summoned back the Harbingers from other nations if they've been doing whatever in their given nations. We did hear a little bit about that from, like, obviously we know that the Tsaritsa allowed the captain to remain rank number 1, forever rank number 1, strongest member of the Fatui Harbingers, by the way. And so yeah, so we obviously we know Dottore is stationing like an R&D facility in Nod-Krai, this autonomous nation where they have like these ancient moon fragments, which seemingly implies that the dragons created the moon, or the dragons tried to reconstruct the destroyed moon sisters in some way, based on like the moon fragments falling from the sky, and then they grabbed them and now they're in Nod-Krai. So the doctor might pull up again, which is interesting. And they've all centralized. I don't know if this is Project Stuja, which is like their grand master plan for the Tsaritsa. I assume it has something to do with winter, right? Winter is coming, like it's getting colder in Snezhnaya, and obviously the plan of bringing the Gnosis together, overthrowing Celestia and the gods and all of that stuff. So obviously they're the big dogs, right? Snezhnaya is their home turf. They know what the hell they want. Obviously this is like all about them at this point, or what remaining harbingers we have. Scaramouche defected. La Signora's been dead for years. Oh, Captain, my captain has merged himself with the ley lines in Natlan, so he's no longer a factor in the plans. And so we still have a lot of the other we still haven't met majority of the remaining harbingers at this point, majority of the ones that are probably just chilling in Snezhnaya. So it seems like moving forward now, the rest of the Fatui harbingers that we'll meet will either be in Nod-Krai or they'll be in Snezhnaya, given this Pale Star Edict. So I think the Pale Star Edict is just this, like, hey, if the Pale Star Edict comes out, whatever you're doing, drop it and come back home. And so now they're kind of shifting to Nod-Krai. I don't know if it's to fight against the Frost Moon Scions. I don't know if it's to kind of centralize their efforts in trying to harness this moon power, or these ancient moon fragments, or whatever the case might be. But obviously all hands on deck for whatever the Tsaritsa has planned out. So that's very, very exciting. Okay, I don't know, or I don't remember what any of these other symbols are. So we're going to go from the outer ring and we're going to work our way in. So the first one we're going to do is this one. Whatever one's closest to me is what I'll mess with. Oh, this is the Hexen Circle. Holy fuck. Are we getting Alice finally? I theorized when Natlan came out, like during 5.0, I was like, oh, we need to get Alice before we go to Snezhnaya. So this could be it, potentially, maybe, right? We have all of them. We have Alice, Barbeloth, Rhine-Daughter, one of the 5 sinners of Conria, Octavia, who's kind of like a traveler amongst the bunch of them. There's a couple of other ones. I know Ivanovna's gone. I know Anya M. Anders' daughter is gone. I think there's one, I think there's like a Hexen Circle member we haven't met yet. If you've read The Little Witch and the Undying Flame, there should be at least one more Hexen Circle witch that we haven't met yet. I still want to meet Albedo's mom. She's like, I think her and Grandmaster Varka are my 2 most anticipated characters in the game at this point. Holy shit. Located at the edge of the world. Wait, what? Located at the edge of the world, Nod-Krai has always been the stage where conflicts and dramas unfold one after another. How could the Hexen Circle possibly miss on this golden opportunity? Oh, bro, they're literally like, this is like the converging point. Is Nod-Krai gonna be like the true 3rd act of Genshin? Are we literally getting all of these factions in Nod-Krai? Hexen Circle, the Fatui, the Adventurers Guild, the fucking Knights of Favonius, whatever other shit that I haven't read here. And these Hexen Circle, they're no freaking, they study Irminsul. They're the strongest witches of their time, right? Like Klee's mom, Mona's master, Albedo's mom. Like, are you serious? We might potentially get their reveals. I mean, they've been teasing Alice for years, ever since Golden Apple, ever since Klee and Mona's story quest. We've been getting Alice teases over the years. You know, Simulanka kind of gave us a lot more information on like Barbeloth, for example, right? The three goddesses of fate was based on, you know, Alice, Anya, and Barbeloth. And obviously Rhine-Daughter, she's kind of in like this lucid state of being, right? She's a transcendent being, one of the 5 sinners of Conria, Albedo's mother, searching for the heart of Niborius, or the Heart of Nibirius, this ancient like relic artifact or whatever, and wants him to discover the truth of this world. And I have a thing for her, right? I don't know. I have a thing for women that abandon their kids, apparently. First it was the Raiden Shogun, then it was Ryan daughter. I have no idea what's wrong with me. Anyways, yeah, wow. The Hex and Zirkel are going to be factored in at some point in Nod-Krai. This is crazy. How the hell are they gonna bunch all of this shit in one nation? There is no way. Unless this is going to be a slow burning process over the next like 2 years, right? If Nod-Krai is going to be like the Archon Quest focus of this year, and then the Sarita is like next year, I can't imagine them doing all of this in a single like 5-act Archon Quest session. You know what I mean? Like they definitely have to let this shit cook. All right, so next up, okay, so we have the Hexen Zirkel now, which is crazy. Next up we have, I don't know what the heck this is. What the hell? This looks like a heart with like some nails in it. Clink Clank Krumkake Craft Shop. All right, this is something new. It began as a small workshop that a certain oh my god. Is this Sandrone? This might be Sandrone. She's a tinkerer. She creates things, right? Shout out to anyone who did the world quest in Fontaine with Curve, the lie detector robot. Like that's literally what this is giving, right? And she has like her own little ruin guard butler, or her ruin butler in the Winter Nights Lazo trailer. It began as a small workshop that a certain prodigy used to research the world's best Krumkake machine. But over time, after the creation of many intricate inventions, it gained a new identity as a famous machine workshop. Be sure to mind your manners when begging that genius for a favor, though, or whatever component she gives you might be liable to cough out a nasty Krumkake at any moment. I don't know what Krumkake is. I don't know if I'm saying that right. So does Sandrone have her own little workshop in Nod-Krai or Snezhnaya? That's kind of what this is giving, right? The heart that's like with nails in it, and it's kind of like jagged, you know, like the heart, like giving a machine a heart or something like that, kind of like a Frankenstein-esque approach. I do think this is heavily focusing and talking about Sandrone, right? The marionette, one of the Fatui harbingers, and she might have her own little tinkering workshop, which is pretty cool. She's considered, again, I'm going into this with the assumption that this is Sandrone because we haven't gotten anything about her. We got one world quest in Fontaine which mentioned that she's looking into lie detector machine technology from Curve during the world quest with Talachard. So outside of that, this is super exciting. Oh my god. I guess her workshop, I mean, she must have tons of inventions, tons of machines, tons of you know, assets or weapons or whatever the case might be. Like she has her own little robot army. I wouldn't be surprised. Again, don't know if this is Sandrone, but I'm heavily leaning, or I'm anticipating this to be Sandrone to some degree because we don't know much about her. We haven't gotten much lore on her, the Rooster, Pantalone, you know what I mean? Like some of the other harbingers that have been basically chilling in Snezhnaya for however long, ever since the Winter Nights Lazo, Columbina, I have no idea. All right, so we have the Hexen Zirkel, we have this workshop, this Tinkerer workshop, we have the Adventurers Guild. What is that? That looks like Frost Moon Scions, maybe? Oh shit. Snowland wait, what the hell? These fairies? Snowland Fae. What? The oh shit, the Fae who once, oh my god, the first Cryo Archon, the Fae who once followed the first Cryo Archon. The Belyazar, is that the title of the first Cryo Archon? And then the Saritsa is the second Cryo Archon. The Belyazar ruled the Northlands in their entire, bro, what the fuck? We're getting the first Cryo Archon? I wonder, I'm still curious if like Zila was the first Cryo Archon and then Bronya is the second Cryo Archon and they were lovers and one of them died and now Bronya's like, I will destroy the world because my love is dead or something like that. I don't know if like, I think Zila and Bronya definitely have to be a parallel in some way in Snezhnaya or Nod-Krai. Either one was the previous Cryo Archon and one is the current Cryo Archon, or one of them is the Archon and the other one is like the Cryo Dragon Sovereign if they exist still in Teyvat in this day and age. Oh my god. So I assume the Fae in Snezhnaya are the equivalent to the dragons in Natlin, the Aranara in Sumeru, the Oceanids in Fontaine, the Adepti in Liyue, and the Four Winds in Mondstadt. So they're like the governing force of like nature is the best way I can put it. And they were basically like the followers or the familiars of the first Cryo Archon. That is sick. Though now, shorn of their former glory, they still influence the nation in their own ways. One can only guess what path they will take as calamity draws ever closer. Holy shit. So we have like these cryo fairies, which I assume are different from the Frost Moon Scions and like the Frost Moon God or whatever that the Frost Moon Scions follow. So this is so cool. This is so cool. Rich lore and world building of things that we haven't even gotten or experienced yet in the base game. So like this is stuff that I think we're gonna end up cooking. Hoyo's gonna cook, and Hoyo's gonna kind of give us over the course of the next year, the next 2 years, for like whatever we're gonna get in Nod-Krai and whatever we're gonna get in the Snezhnaya Archon quest. This is insane, brother. And they look humanoid, maybe, right? Like this is like a really cool image of like, they look like they have like a human face, and like then it shifts to the ice. So obviously they seem to be like humanoid fairies with ice powers or cryo powers. Holy cannoli. Yo, Nod-Krai is popping the fuck off. Oh my god. Wait, is that the... Shut the fuck up. The treasure hoarders? I only just noticed that now. Wow. Are you fucking kidding me? Another test subject? Is that actually important? Is that line actually important? Another test subject. Are you kidding me? I'm gonna put the screenshot here, but when the first web event came out, I actually noticed how the drop material for the treasure hoarders had the same kind of like iconography as the 3 moons. It was like a circle within a circle within a circle. And I actually put it in that first video, just noticing the parallel there. Now you're telling me the treasure hoarders are actually low-key important to the plot instead of them just being these like lame ass like random mobs? That's crazy. Wow. The treasure hoarders have been spread throughout the rest of Teyvat, but their origin in Nod-Krai remains a little known fact. The great treasure left behind by Reed Miller, the legendary thief who yearns to create a world without boundaries, is said to be buried somewhere here. Reed Miller, I don't know if I've read that name in the game before. Obviously we know a lot about like, you know, minor, you know, members of the treasure hoarders. Like I think the last like thief that I remember was what's his name, Raptor, right, from fucking Amber's story quest when the game first came out in 1.0. He was like a big nobody, and like we learned about like Big Sis and stuff like that in Liyue and shit. But like this is so different. They have like some origin and lore within Nod-Krai. Dude, Nod-Krai is gonna be so fucking dense. If all of these factions are congregating and meeting up in Nod-Krai, like what are you leaving for the rest of your game? If all of like, and I can think of a character from each of these factions that could be playable potentially. You know what I mean? Like there's like half a dozen other harbingers, right? The Adventurers Guild, put Catherine on the fucking banner. I'm sure people will pull for her. Wow, this is so crazy. Okay, what the hell is this? Is this a ship? Hold on, what is this one? Is this the Alcor? I have no idea. This looks like a ship. Oh, okay, this is the Voynich Guild. Okay, so Libin did talk about this in his last Marvelous Merchant that came out, I think during 5.1. This is basically where like smugglers and vagabonds kind of do business, and they're kind of shady, and you'll get scammed if you're not careful. And so so we learned a lot. So it's like a merchant, I think a merchant town or a merchant guild, if you will. The merchants of Nasha Town formed a commerce guild to maintain basic order. However, how could the outlaws that prowl between the islands be controlled by something as simple as mere rules? It seems that the honor of striking fear into their hearts must go to the boss lady of the Curatorium of Secrets. Guys, what is happening? We're getting we're getting a commerce guild. We heard about Nasha Town from Helka during the like the Nod-Krai combat event that we got, where we learned a lot about the Frost Moon Scions and whatnot. I saw a couple of other characters as well. Bro, they are giving so much information right now. This is insane. This is so crazy just to speculate and think on. Like, obviously we're not going to get like more concrete details until like maybe the summer event when it starts starts teasing Nod-Krai and Snezhnaya, kind of like Simulanka. And so hopefully that could be the gift that keeps on giving when we go there. But oh my days, brother. So they're giving us, so like not like the Voynich Guild we heard about. This is kind of giving more a little bit concrete information. So we have Nasha Town, which is a commerce, which is a town that has a commerce guild, this commerce guild, to kind of keep things in order, because this is where Nod-Krai is typically like an autonomous nation. So everything is kind of like, they're independent, I think, within the border of Snezhnaya, but they're independent of like the Tsaritsa and, the grand, like the main city of Snezhnaya. I think they do their own thing. This Curatorium of Secrets, that sounds like it's just more lore and more crazy information that not a lot of people are privy to, and God knows. And this is also interesting too. They say the outlaws that prowl between the islands. So there might be like little pocket islands between like settlements in in Nod-Krai at the very least. So I thought it was just on the mainland, but there might be some settlements off in the waters or off on like their own little separate islands. I know they said the Frostmoon Scions live on an island, or they're on like an island settlement and they live in the forest and stuff like that. Holy mother of God. Okay, so I think I did all of the outside ones. Now we have the last three. Okay, we have these last two. So let's do this one. I'll save that tower one for last. That kind of looks like the Dainichi Mikoshi. Oh, the Frostmoon Scions. Yo, this design looks sick. They're like, are they like deer? They're like deer people? Oh dear. Okay, we got the Frostmoon Scions. These people worship the moon. The Frost Moon, most likely, the last moon that's kind of like has any lingering power to it at this point compared to the Eternal and the Iridescent Moon. This looks very deer-like the horns, the leaves, obviously the moon, crescent moon. Like that looks like a fucking fragile resin if I squinted my eyes a little bit. The descendants of the legendary Golden Realm. That sounds like the Light Realm. Honestly, the descendants of the legendary Golden Realm who chose to find new homes among the mountains and forests after abandoning their ancient civilization. Guys, we just got the sacred city of Tallinn in Natlan, and I still haven't like unearthed all the lore and crazy information about that ancient civilization of dragons. And now you're telling me the Frost Moons. So these are the descendants of this ancient race that comes from a golden realm, which sounds like the light realm almost. Maybe they're elemental beings of some sort. Maybe that has something to do with the Frostland Fae, for all we know. And an ancient civilization, because there's one in every nation. The only thing they never forsook was their faith in the moon goddess. However, with the arrival of the Fatui, it appears that their tranquil lives are about to fade into the realm of wait, whoa, yo, Frostmoon Scions versus the Fatui? Are you serious? What the hell? Bro, they still worship the moon goddess. So I only assume that the three moon sisters died and then the dragons tried to create a new moon in their image, and that's what the moon is beyond the firmament of Natlan. But I guess they weren't successful. Bro, this could give us also some lore on Arya, who's probably, I think, is the last of the moon sisters that is still in her lunar palace. So maybe that's who they're worshiping, Arya, right? From the Dream Arya song and like the lore of Arya Sonnet in canon. I'm assuming Arya is the last existing moon sister, and that's who they're worshiping. That's where they get this power that predates the 7 elements. So it predates the elements of Celestia. So I don't know if it's in line with phlogiston, which is the natural element of the world that we learned about, that in the primordial sea. Holy moly, this is so exciting. And they're like elf people almost. I don't know about elf people. They seemed very fae-like, but now we have the Snowland Fae. So they're just like beings that live in the forest and use magic, essentially. They use an element like magic. That's what was described by Helka in that combat event. Bro, this is crazy. This is actually insane. I think we have one more image right here. Holy mother of God. What the hell is this? What is this castle nonsense? The Light Keepers. Oh, this might actually tie into the artifact set, the plunging artifact set. One of the artifact pieces is like Light Keepers something. I haven't read it yet. I'll be reading it later this patch. An ancient civilization that has long defended Nod-Krai's freedom and peace against the ceaseless incursions and wild hunt attacks. Oh, launched by the Abyss. Okay, so they're defenders of the Abyss. All right, they're the good guys. All right, they're basically like, they're like trying to pick up where Conria left off at this point. Holy moly. Okay, let me read that again. The ancient organization that has long defended Nod-Krai's freedom and peace against the ceaseless incursions and wild hunt attacks launched by the Abyss. now severely weakened from battles past. Holy shit. In the face of new threats, none can say for sure if the new generation of Rat Nikki will remain able to carry out their mission. Bro, this is crazy. An ancient organization of warriors, seemingly, from Nod-Krai are defending and fighting off the Abyss. I think Helka, the NPC from that combat event, mentioned that the Abyss is in the north. And to like, they were like, oh, you know, that the person, I think they said like their caretaker or their mom or something was like, hey, make sure when you come back, don't come from the north or something like that. And so the wild hunt attacks, that sounds insane. That sounds, okay, so the Abyss is like in the wild doing these random sporadic attacks, and they've been these light keepers, which they sound like light warriors, right? They sound like they're warriors of light that defend and fight against the darkness or the Abyss, and they've been severely weakened over time. So maybe they're like a new age version of like the Schwanenritter, right? The Schwanenritter were an orderly knight. They were like a knightly order of Conria that fought against the Abyss during the Cataclysm in Sumeru. And so the Abyss is relentless, man. And even in the wilderness, even in the wilds, they kind of have their own method and ways of attacking this ancient light keepers organization. So that is, I think that's everything. That's all. And that's another piece of Nod-Krai specific lore. I am going to read the artifact set by the end of the patch, so we'll learn a little bit more about the light keepers, these warriors that are fighting off against the Abyss within the borders of Nod-Krai. Obviously, the Abyss is never ending. I'm shocked that across all of this we didn't get anything regarding the Abyss. I know that there's the deep gallery artifact set that we just got. That might talk about the Abyss. I'm expecting it to talk about Skirk because I think that might be her artifact set whenever she comes out. So I don't know how much we're gonna get into the Abyss with like the Saurian world quest and the artifact set lore that I'm gonna be reading. But yeah, I'm shocked that the only faction that is not here is the Abyss. You know, they're the only ones that are not present. We got the Hexen Circle, the fucking Treasure Hoarders, the Adventurers Guild, the Fatui. We got so many new things too. This is crazy. Oh, and then we have the... Oh, shit! What the fuck? Bro! It's a bunch of fragile resin. It's a bunch of resin, a bunch of moon statues. What the hell? And that looks like is that a divine nail? Brother, that literally looks like Zhongli's pillar. Like if you were to use Zhongli's elemental skill to put up a pillar, that literally looks like it. But obviously the light in the middle is a little different. That's clearly not it. That literally looks like a divine nail was broken in the middle. Holy shit. The frost, oh, this looks like an island too. It's like surrounded by water. The frost moon scions of Hisi Island prayed to the moonlight in their hearts, sacred and unsullied. Holy shit. Whoa, I can actually move this. Wow, this is so fucking cool, man. They're giving us a first look at, yeah, so yeah, you see like in the water over here. Oh, you guys can't see it because of my camera. So like there's the moon structure in the water here. There's one in the back over here. There's a couple in this general area. And then there's like some stairs that lead up to these ancient ruins. This looks like ancient. I guarantee you we're going to be able to go to this exact place. It's going to be scaled exactly. I'm sure whenever the area comes out, you can take like a picture and then do like a side-by-side. I'm going to take a screenshot of this just so I can do that when it comes out. But this looks like unified civilization architecture. And then this looks like there was a mountain here, and then this like spear just like fucking destroyed this entire area, right? It just terraformed the area. It got buried in the ground here, and it's like radiating this unique power. Again, it looks like a divine nail of Celestia, but the pillar structure, this centerpiece right here and this top piece right here, this actually reminds me of Zhongli's pillars actually, but it might be broken off in the middle here, and then like whatever energy is within it is being radiated out, or it's a divine nail that was like broken in the middle here and its powers are just kind of radiating and going crazy. Or this is like something regarding the moon, and that's why all of these like moon structures are in the general area. But this is so fucking cool. God, this is so sick. So this is our first look at Hisi Island. So it's within the borders of Nod-Krai, and this is where the Frost Moon Scions reside. That is so sick. Is that it? Oh my God. People of the moonlit world, please wait for the turning of the moon, for it will bring new revelations. And so I don't know, is this everything? I think this is everything. I don't know if this is gonna get updated again. Also, let me get my primo gems real quick. Holy moly, big lore gamers, big lore. Thank you very much. Oh yeah, hell yeah, I will download that. That looks sick. Oh, I'll download both of them. Hell yeah. Oh, this looks so badass. Wow. I feel like I yapped. This was just all off the top of my head. All of this lore, all of this information. I cannot imagine how the community is like losing their goddamn minds right now. I hope everybody and their mother is excited. I hope this kind of reinvigorates people's love and interest in lore. I haven't even gotten to the 5.5 dragon lore that we're gonna get in the city of Tallinn in the volcano, and that shit's like on my radar for this weekend. But now I have this, and then tomorrow morning we have 5.6 drip marketing to look forward to, all of the lore for those characters, like the early teases for the new release characters. Bro, 11 factions for Nod-Krai. There's no shot we're meeting the Tsaritsa. Like, there's no shot we're going to like the main city of Snezhnaya this year. Like, I thought we were, but now Nod-Krai is shaping up to be like the next Archon quest focused area for the next year, and then we're gonna get the Tsaritsa in what is it, 7.0. So I think 6.0 is gonna be 6.x is gonna be Nod-Krai, 7.0 is gonna be Snezhnaya. And I think those two patches, like, I think this year and next year is going to give us all of this within that time frame, because there's no fucking shot that they're going to give us all of this in 1 year. This is way too much, especially since like we don't have the full depth of all of these factions on their own. Like, we don't know everything about the Hexen Circle. There's like 5 or 6 members in it right now, or like 3 to 4 members, I think, in the Hexen Circle alone. We haven't even met Grandmaster Varka of the expedition, you know, and he's important to like Mondstadt's lore and like Razor's backstory and stuff like that. Like Jean and Barbara's mom and dad are on the expedition as well, not to mention any other like notable characters that they just haven't talked about in that time. The Fatui has like 5 or 6 other harbingers that we haven't even like gotten introduced to, let alone ones that might be potentially playable. Some of this other stuff might come naturally, like the Fae, the Voynich Guild. That stuff we're gonna learn about in Nod-Krai, but I still feel like, and like the light keepers and all of that, there just feels like so much here that I just really hope none of it feels bloated. I don't want any of it to feel overwhelming. This feels overwhelming just looking at it, but I don't think we're just gonna get thrown all of this at once. Like, I feel like it's going to be a gradual like reveal of information. Obviously we're gonna get weapon lore, we're gonna get artifact lore, we're gonna get books to read and NPCs to talk to. Obviously, Archon quest, story quest, event quest, world quest, and things of that nature. And then obviously whatever overarching world quest is going to be focused in Nod-Krai is going to be insane for like the greater lore of Nod-Krai's past and its present, kind of like the Saurian world quest in Natlan. Let me know what you guys think about all of this, because this is so like, this video is like an hour long. This video is going to be insanely long, especially if I want to like add on and talk about certain things as well. This is crazy. I'm not even gonna cap, guys. I am so exhausted like mentally. Like, I did this massive stream and then they double down on this, and then there's the drip marketing tomorrow, and I'm just like, this is so exciting. I'm gonna be talking about this for like the next few days, especially up until my next stream, but like there is so much lore and information and setup for world building when we go to Nod-Krai, and the fact that they have the Hexen Circle, the Knights of Favonius, the fucking treasure hoarders, which by the way, I actually went in my game just now and double checked it. Reed Miller is actually the founder of the treasure hoarders, and this lore has been in the game since version 1.0. It's actually, if you look inside your the Traveler's Adventurer handbook and you look up treasure hoarders and you go to like the grunt treasure hoarders, it actually mentions Reed Miller. And I felt like, I feel like it's been years since I've heard that name, and so I was like, I feel like I've heard of that before. I think they've name dropped that before. That is the founder of the treasure hoarders, Reed Miller. And they finally are dropping his name and kind of referencing or linking back to his, you know, his desire to hunt treasure and to live in a world without boundaries and to have like kind of mutual cooperation with people in the world. And again, it all comes back to treasure. Paimon loves treasure. And so a lot of things are going to be really exciting, like the treasure hoarders. They're so, what's the word I'm looking for? The treasure hoarders are just so like basic as fuck. Like I don't even think about them half the time. And they're like only in a couple of nations, like early game nations, and now they're going to be in the end game. And so it kind of just goes to show how overlooked something is, that they become like a major important factor in the late game, which is kind of interesting. So I'm really eager to see how the treasure hoarders shake things up, and like how important or how focal they're going to be going into Nod-Krai, and like having this legendary thief try to create a world that defies the currently established laws of Celestia, and you know, kind of wanting to seemingly obfuscate fate in some regard, kind of similar to, again, King Deshret, God King Remus, and stuff like that. I'm really eager to learn about the Snow Fae, or the Snowland Fae, because this ties into the first Cryo Archon. We know nothing of the first Cryo Archon. All we know is that the current Cryo Archon is not the first one, and something must have happened to this first Cryo Archon. I can only assume, because like Natlan might be a special case with how they choose their Archons, but I assume the Cryo Archon, something happened to them in the last 500 years during the Cataclysm, right? Egeria died during the Cataclysm. Greater Lord Rukkhadevata died following the Cataclysm. Makoto died at Khaenri'ah. So a lot of the original Archons died in the last 500 years through the process of the Cataclysm and the Khaenri'ah disaster that affected all 7 nations simultaneously. And my headcanon, I think since like 3.8, my headcanon, I think, really started forming during Bottleland. My headcanon has always been that I thought the previous Cryo Archon and the current Cryo Archon were lovers, and because there's always like this intimate kind of familial relationship with the previous Archon and the current one. Raiden A and Makoto were sisters. Nahida and Rukkhadevata were like reincarnations through different samsaras, right? Rukkhadevata created Nahida, and thus she created a new version of herself. Technically, Egeria created the Oceanid, and Focalors was one of Egeria's familiars, who then split herself to create Farina. So technically, Egeria and Focalors were mother and daughter. I think the only Archon that didn't have this kind of familial bond was Xbalanque and Mavuika, which them two still feel like master and apprentice, was what I originally thought about them. But obviously, because Mavuika went on to succeed Xbalanque, and they also even had like a 1v1 fight during her story quest, which was cool. And so now I feel like the only dynamic that we haven't gotten between two Archons is they were lovers. And because a lot of people, myself included, think that Bronya is the current Tsaritsa, Zila has to be somehow factored in, because it's the Hoyoverse way. Bronya and Zila are heavily involved in Honkai Impact 3rd, as well as Honkai Star Rail. And because all of the Archons seem to be an XP of a Honkai character, it kind of makes sense for it to be Bronya and Zila. At least I think so, for things to kind of parallel and match up. And so, and I would love that. I would love to see Zila in the game. I would love to see Bronya in the game. Some people think Cocolia could be a factor in one of those things. We also have the Cryo Dragon Sovereign, which I don't know if they're involved in Nod-Krai or Snezhnaya, but obviously there's something to take into consideration. They're not mentioned at all here, but obviously I'm expecting some type of lore or information, because we know about Nouvelette. We know about Shiokawado, the Pyro Dragon Sovereign. We have a Pep, the Dendro Dragon Sovereign. And so, obviously, I'm expecting there to be something regarding the Cryo Dragon. But yeah, so I think this is the title. Bel-Yizar is the title of the first Cryo Archon, and now the second Cryo Archon is known as the Tsaritsa. So I'm very excited to learn about them, because they are the nature, the energy of the world, or the energy of the region, similar to, like I mentioned, the other governing nature forces of the other nations, which is really cool. Adventurers Guild, Catherine, the information broker of the game. They have all of the network information, and basically they know everything about Teyvat at all times. I really think this is Sandrone. Everything is kind of pointing to her being a prodigy, a tinkerer, someone who started off small and then kind of built up her reputation. And because she's one of the harbingers that was mentioned in a previous quest, I assume that that's what they're kind of inching towards or mentioning, because they did the same thing with Arlecchino. There was a world quest, a hidden world quest in Inazuma during like 2.4, 2.5, that first ever name dropped Arlecchino in the game, and then 2 years later we end up getting Arlecchino in the game. And I think it's something similar where they referenced Sandrone in a Fontaine world quest, and then 2 years from then, right, we skip Natlin, and then we go to Nod-Krai Snezhnaya, and I think we'll get Sandrone there. So I feel like this is Hoyoverse setting up for Sandrone, maybe, kind of, sort of, I'm not entirely sure. And then we have all of these Nod-Krai references, right? The Frost Moon Scions, the Light Keepers. This one's so badass because I have nothing but admiration and respect for any force that fights directly against the Abyss. I am a Khaenri'ah stan at this point. I believe in Khaenri'ah. I believe in the humanity that they have been fighting the Abyss in every nation with every fiber of their being, especially, oh, Captain, my Captain. When I found out he was a Khaenri'ah, and I was like, guys, I guess I just know how to pick him. Kaya's in my top 3 favorite characters. I guess I just know how to pick him. Kari Bear, one of my favorite characters in the game. I guess it's meant to be. You know, the Light Keepers give me Khaenri'ah energy, right? Fighting the Abyss, defending their nation for freedom. Good old Venti, wondering when he's going to be involved in the story when we go back for his second story quest, most likely. But, yeah, all of this information is spectacular. Hexenzirkel? Are you kidding me? Alice, Barbeloth, Rhine-Daughter, whenever she's not being, like, pulled into this lucid space because of her abyssal influence, and, you know, hopefully Albedo lore. I mean, I'm thinking, and that's the thing, too. Like, we still have the war with all of these other nations, right? A referenced the war happening in Inazuma. We just did the Lantern Rite Festival with Ningguang basically agreeing to ally and give assistance if there's anything that's shaking up the 7 nations. And Simulanka set up Scaramouche and Mini Durin and Albedo lore, and like basically real Durin resurrecting and causing havoc in Mondstadt. So I feel like we're setting up, I genuinely, and I mean this genuinely, I don't mean this because I want it to happen, I just think Hoyo is heavily setting up for crazy, like, I actually think the reason death hasn't really been a major factor for characters in the game is because they're building up everything for, like, endgame. And once we've given you all the characters, then we'll start killing them. But before then, you're gonna get your characters, you're gonna get your cameos, you're gonna get your character interactions, you're gonna get your wholesome moments, you're gonna get your emotional moments with everybody. And then when the war with the Abyss and the Cataclysm 2.0 happens, which I feel like that's what they're building up to in the end game with the Abyss, I feel like a second Cataclysm is going to happen. I feel like all of these nations and all of these factions at the end of the day are going to band together and really have to fight against the Abyss, the true Abyss, not Gosoithoth, but whatever the heart of the Abyss is. I think that's going to be the true adversary of Genshin Impact. And I feel like we're gonna go through another Cataclysm. Archons are gonna die, playable characters are gonna die, and the like. And it's gonna lead to some craziness happening. And I feel like this is like a really big play. Damn near every faction in the game that we've been building up for the last almost 5 years. So this is incredible. I cannot wait to see what Hoyoverse is cooking. I just made a tweet talking about how, like, I love that they reference and discuss and talk about lore. We just got Zamaran lore. We just got fucking Archon Quest lore from Varessa's story quests. And now they're kind of building up everything for Nod-Krai. I don't know if they're basically saying here that the next new moon, we're gonna get more information. Let me see. The next new moon will be the pink moon on April 12th. That seems really close. That's in less than 2 weeks. I don't know if that's accurate, but yeah. I don't know if this is basically saying there's gonna be more, but I don't know where they would put it because they essentially gave us everything. They fully opened up this map, which this looks cool. It's an island in Nod-Krai. And we got all of these factions. So I think now we just kind of big chill and wait. I think the summer event is going to be a really big first step in whatever it is that they're planning for Nod-Krai. The summer event is going to be interesting, I think, because when I think of a summer event going to the Cryo Nation, I feel like we're going to get a winter event during the summer for some strange reason. I don't know why. I just don't think it's appropriate for us to have a summer event, fun in the sun, when we're going to the nation of Cryo. That's just me, though. That is everything. This video is going to be insanely long. I think like this video is an hour long of recording time. I have to chunk this down and kind of get all my thoughts out on paper, but I hope you guys look forward to this. Thank you guys so much for hearing my thoughts. and hearing me ramble and yap and talk about Genshin lore. This is my favorite kind of content to make, especially giving my first impressions, my first thoughts, my first reactions to everything. I could talk about Genshin lore all goddamn day if you let me, especially if I was streaming this. But this was really great to just sit down and finally get the reveal. I was not expecting this. We have 5.6 drip marketing tomorrow. I just finished streaming. Again, check me out on Twitch and the Murder of Birds VOD channel for all my VOD content if you guys are interested. Murder of Birds Impact for my edited Let's Plays of Genshin and everything else in between. But yeah, this is everything. I will have the 5.6 drip marketing out at some point tomorrow. I'm gonna try to edit and get this video uploaded tonight, and so we're gonna be cutting it a little close, but I want this video to breathe for a little bit before I do drip marketing because this is a lot to take in. But that is everything from me. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Please leave all of your thoughts, theories, speculations, questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, ideas in the comments down below. And I'm really excited for the future of Genshin. Check me out on Twitch. We're doing the Saurian World Quest this weekend, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Take care.